Hello everyone and welcome to the Nighttime Show. As always, we have Matt Walker, the biggest crybaby that I know, and also the biggest goody two-shoes, who has never been fired from a job, which is pretty upsetting. And also we have a wonderful special guest today. You may know him from the TV show Looking, or maybe the movie I Spit on Your Grave, which sounds lovely. Also the TV show Conviction, but most of you may know him as Lindsay Lohan's best friend Damien in Mean Girls. He is Daniel Franzese. Now, did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, we're all good then on the pronunciation. There's also some other dude here called Stephen, but I kind of forgot my notes on what he did, but you may know him from Walking Hollywood Boulevard, Asking for Change, and various other things like that.
You're the worst.
Oh,
but
he's here.
I adore you, and I appreciate you. And tell them who you are.
My name is Lauren Rose. I do many things, but mostly I'm British.
Also, you're our guest announcer today, and welcome to the show!
Hey!
Here we go, and we're gonna do it.
It's a show. S-H-O-W.
Now I know why he wanted you on. Anybody that'll sing show tunes with him, he's like, I'm in.
Sing show tunes. Anything you can do, I can do.
You got Tom Sizemore to sing show tunes with you.
I did. We had Tom Sizemore on the show, and he sang,
You're doing...
Oh, one last kiss. Oh,
Yeah.
give me one. And he was in this fucking fog the whole time, this drug fog. He fell asleep in one of the booths here at Genghis Cohen. Yeah. He was a mess. But then
That movie with him was good, though.
But then he did this really great movie.
Yeah.
He came in and
All
he
right.
did this. Oh God, good Lord,
Yeah.
Tom Sizemore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Good old Tommy.
yeah.
Doing Tom Sizemore things.
He talked about how when he had sex with Juliette Lewis, how he wanted to stab her in the neck after they would have sex because her voice was so irritating to him.
Wow.
He's a nightmare. He's a nightmare person. And we love Juliette Lewis, which was even worse. You know, we're like, oh God, I hope she doesn't hear this.
Yeah, Juliette Lewis she's everything.
Is she one of our
fucking
subscribers? I don't know. Well, she just followed you on Twitter.
She listens to the show. So Juliette, if you're listening,
and the Licks,
we
are
sure
a rad
love
band,
you.
and you're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Daniel, we've seen each other around town. We see each other sometimes. I see you around
suites.
gifting suites,
Comedy clubs,
places. I see
Hollywood
you around.
locations.
That's everywhere that matters in the town.
I know.
Absolutely. Those are all the great
A to
places.
Z.
The best places to be.
Yeah. How are things going? What's been going on, man?
Good.
Yeah.
Things are good. That's a weird Hollywood. Like, what do I do? Just
What have you-
launch into my resume?
No. What's been happening in your life recently?
I'm doing a lot of stand-up.
Yeah?
Yeah, a lot
Oh,
of
that's
stand-up.
fantastic.
I've been doing stand-up for years, but I'm actually writing an hour. I'm like taking the time to like really put it into it because I'm really inspired right now. So
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Where are you performing at?
everywhere I can. I mean, I'm doing a
that's
lot
what
of
you gotta
like
do.
I'm performing a lot in New York, and I'm performing here. I have I perform at Improv sometimes. I've done a couple things at the store, but I have a show at Flappers right now called Oh My God, Yasamisi.
Wow.
And it's like a gay straight alliance show, because I feel like I've been playing like a couple of the gay shows around town, you know, like
Yeah.
the LGBTQ shows, and they're very segregated in a weird way. It's like either like you have one gay comic a night, you know, and then there's all these like other kinds of comics, and then like if you have a gay show, it's all gay comics, and then maybe like one straight comic. So I'm trying to do like a thing where we have a mostly gay or gayish, queerish audience, and then
Sure.
we're introducing, you know, like a lot like alliance straight comics to that audience. Maybe.
Oh, I really like that.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic idea.
And it's really fun.
That's great.
Yeah, so like we always have like somebody in the mix that like it's like what, like, you know, like in December we're talking to having Bob the drag queen there, and then Ben Glebe. It's like what?
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's
like just, you
great.
know, kind of mixing it up for the audiences and making everyone, you know, be one.
Who's someone that you look up to in comedy? Like, who's someone that you're a fan of?
I mean, I love Louis C.K., but I think like for me, I don't have anyone that really has. I'm like an old school guy. Like I really love Sid Caesar's Your Show shows and like all those like really old like comedic timing. Like I don't run off jokes and stuff. Most of my stuff is like lifestyle, talking about my family and my fiance and things like that. But I'm more of a person who likes to make comedy than like sit and watch it all the time. I don't know.
Oh, that's great.
When did you start?
Stand up or comedy in general? I mean, I've been doing comedy my whole life. Like, here's the weird thing about stand up for me is that like, for 20 years I was doing sketch and improv. I've done stuff with like UCB and IO and all these other kind of places, and then and of course movies and TV comedy stuff. And storytelling at The Moth and Mortified and all these other places.
Sure.
But it wasn't until I started doing storytelling and I started getting like a little more real about my life, because I was closeted for a really long time. Even though I'm the gay guy from Mean Girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you didn't come out till, what,
No, I used to lie to people, tell them that I was straight, like all this other kind of stuff. Because that's what I was being advised to do, and you know, that was the vibe. I also was dating somebody pretty seriously for a long time that was also closeted, so that also kind of put another like level of the pressure on me.
Yeah, because when Mean Girls came out in what,
2004,
and you didn't come out till 2014.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's the weird thing is that I was out before Mean Girls. It was like once I got Mean Girls, I was like, okay, now I'm actually going to play a gay role. I found a gay role that isn't stereotypical. I found something that I could do that actually pushes the envelope. This will be the one, you know. And then all the other roles that came up that were gay just didn't really cut the mustard. It was a different time, you know. There was stuff that was like coming out at the time that was like, he wears eyeliner and heels, and it was just like, so like it doesn't make sense, you know. Like at least for me it didn't make sense, and so I was like, I can't go backwards.
Yeah.
So if I I would tell my agents no gay auditions, and and sometimes no fat auditions, because I didn't want to play fat for fat's sake either. Like if my character was like, you know, the butt of the joke because he was fat, I was like, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Totally.
So
I tell my agent that too.
So basically, I was so basically as a type specific person in Hollywood, I was like, don't want to go out for anything my types.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work a lot, you know. But I made sure that I was at least choosing things that I felt had integrity.
Yeah. Well, what's my favorite role you went out for that one time, Stephen?
Oh, a big fat ugly guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was the name of the character. It was Big Fat Ugly Guy, and I got there, and I got to the. It was at HBO, and I went up to the counter, and the lady said, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Big Fat Ugly Guy." And the girl behind the counter went, "Oh my god, okay."
I know.
Go
What
sit
do
over
they
there.
do that?
Did you
And then I
get
go,
that?
That
no,
never
and I went
stops
to
being
go.
funny.
I went to
Couldn't
go
it be?
sit down.
It's HBO, which coined the term. Couldn't it be big fat sexy ugly guy?
Sure, come on,
Like something.
something. But I went and sat down, and then they go, Mark is next, and this guy got up and he started walking across the room, and I think his ankle broke while he was walking. He was just like could barely get to
How
the
winded
audition.
crossing the room.
Yeah, but then it felt good because I went in, and the casting director was like, "Why are you here? Like you're not.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
right
God.
for you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god, thank you,
Thank you for saying that. It's never been so.
You saying
Rejection
you
never felt so
good
good.
because the guy hurt his ankle. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
I felt good because he broke his ankle.
Wow.
Because he
On,
was so fat.
on Mean Girls, there's like the part where I'm in the girls' bathroom, and then this girl walks in, and I'm like, Danny DeVito, I love your work. That
Oh
whole
my
part.
god, yeah, of course.
So that girl, I was on set, and her dad was like, "So what do you do here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm one of the leads in the movie." And he's like, "Oh, my daughter's in the movie." And I'm like, "She is? Like, what does she play?" And he's like, "You know, she's in a movie." And I'm like, "Well, what does she play?" And he's like, Danny DeVito girl. And I was like, oh. And then I noticed when the movie came out, they changed it to short girl. Like the description.
credits.
That's hysterical.
But he was like really embarrassed. And he was like, Danny DeVito girl.
"Oh my god, that's."
And I was
so
like, oh, I never
funny.
thought about that.
Yeah.
That's really great.
I used
though.
to, you know, whenever I talk about body positivity, like, because I have like a lot, you know, a connection to that in the world.
Sure.
I'm always like, you know, it's funny because I used to be so sensitive when I was young. Like, someone would be like, "Hey, big guy," and I'd be like, "Why is he gonna see me as big?" or whoever. Like, I mean, when I was like 11, you know, like I was super sensitive about it. And then now it's like, you know, obese, ugly patron, and I'm like, I could get that part. Why didn't I go out for this? Stephen fucking Glickman gets it again.
I just try to kill myself
Like,
immediately.
have you two gone out for the same roles? Have you ever seen each other in audition?
Not yet.
No?
I mean, we probably have.
I
but,
don't know.
but,
I think every once in a while, maybe I've seen you somewhere. We've maybe run into each other like that, but not. I don't think so.
It's weird
no.
because honestly, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I would say 9 out of 10 of my roles I get from like knowing someone or being part of the creative process, or like an offer. Like, the auditions are so weird for me.
Are you like really hoping for like the DJ Khaled movie at some point?
Yeah, one
Yes.
day.
Oh,
Yo,
totally.
Major Key. No.
I did. You know who I see a lot. I used to see a lot is Quentin Aaron would show up sometimes to the same auditions.
Okay.
Remember him?
He's like a foot
From
and a half taller than you.
He's the blind side. He's the big guy. The big
Oh
guy from the blind side.
yeah.
I'd see him. I'd be like, well, if you're going in and I'm going in, then we both have equal opportunity for auditioning for this. Like,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're really looking for. So
I
it's
do
okay.
see a lot of the same guys though in places and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how it is. I mean, you go in for auditions and you see a bunch of people who look exactly like you, and then a couple who look nothing at all like anybody else.
I also have different categories. So like I'll go in for like the big, the big bearded fat guys that I get. There's a whole bunch of us, and I'll say hey, and then I go in for like all the Italians, and I'm like hey guys, what's up? And then I go in for all the gays, and I'm like hey girl, like all these different categories of the same people.
I just went in for this Disney thing, and that I booked a kid TV show though. So I go in, and everyone in the waiting room, there were like 9 guys in the waiting room. They all looked exactly the same. They all had a beard. They all had a full head of hair, which I fucking hate. If you're gonna be, and they were all fat. It's like if you're gonna be fat and have a beard, you gotta be bald.
Yeah,
or I
shave it,
don't
does
like
it.
you as a person. Like you have to be balding in some way. You can't be
Right.
a giant mane of hair with your fucking beard and your big fat gut. Like I hate. I will try to murder you.
Screw you, George from Lost.
Yeah, fuck you.
or
Yeah.
Fuck you, Nick Offerman.
No, he's not fat though.
Yeah,
he's
yes.
not.
To me.
Well, to you.
No, it's-
Yeah, a broom is fat to you. The fuck, Matt. So let's jump back in time a little bit. There we go.
There you
Whoa.
go. Hey.
Is that the time machine sound?
That's one of my good sound effects.
I didn't think
Okay.
time machines would sound like that. I'm a little surprised.
Which time are we in?
I'm so blown away right now. that was your rewind.
That was my rewind moment. Yeah,
I don't know how the fuck you did that.
I'll teach you later.
Okay, please.
It's teachable.
You do other sound effects too, don't you? Don't you do other?
Like little things.
You
Yeah,
do dogs. I've
I
heard.
could do dogs. Yeah.
What's Can you do a?
Like what?
Can you do like a corgi or something like that?
That's pretty good.
How about a pug? Can you do a pug? That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chihuahua.
How about a chihuahua? Oh, that's so good.
I can do Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Yo quiero Taco Bell. That's my one.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
He's retired.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Finally.
You did a dog in a movie, Stephen,
I did.
that turned into a human being.
Oh, God. Damn it, Matt. Don't tell that story in front of Daniel trying to make me look like a real asshole.
Is that a true story? Because I'd like
Oh,
to
it's a
hear
true
it.
story.
Why are you telling that? Why'd you,
He's in a movie called,
would you
what was
bring
it?
that up? On the,
Love on a Leash?
It's a colleague.
Love on a
This is
Leash?
a
Love
colleague,
on a
for
Leash.
God's sake.
I got a couple of them too, dude.
Okay, look, here's what it is, Daniel.
Is
It's
it
a movie
Gooby?
that was produced by a Chinese woman who did not speak any English.
Oh.
She directed the film in broken English, and if we spoke in regular English,
No.
she would yell at us until we did it in broken English.
No.
That is not a joke. She wrote the script in broken English. And
Like she wrote it in Chinese and used Google Translate to
my
make it
God.
English.
Google Translate
Really?
for it, and it would be stuff like a line would be like, I hope like instead of like I hope my owner comes back soon, it'd be like I hope owner come back to me. Like that would be like a line.
Stop
Like,
it.
It didn't make any sense. And
Or any money.
Is this available? Because
It
this
is.
is.
It
Well,
sounds
probably
like-
on
demand.
there's a trailer
This
online.
sounds like stoner gold.
Here's the best part. In the movie, this woman finds a loose dog. I voice the dog, okay? And then she falls in love with the dog and kisses the dog on the nose, and the dog turns into a human being, and then she fucks that human being.
Yeah. Which is not played by
Is
you.
that you?
Doggy style?
No, I don't play the human. The human, yes.
Just the voice
I
of
don't
the
play
dog.
the human, but she fucks some dude, and then she goes to sleep, and then in the morning he turns back into a
Asian
dog.
cinema, man. Weird.
Yeah, and he keeps transforming into a dog every day when the sun's out.
My friend told me about this Korean movie that came out in South Korea about, it was kind of like Shallow Hal, right? Except at the end, the woman has all this plastic surgery to like be skinny and beautiful, and then her husband loves her, and that's the end of the movie.
That sounds great.
I'm like, okay.
I just saw a thing on on the internet today about women
So
from
real
China.
life, you mean? So real life.
Well, yeah, I know what you're about to say, actually.
Like these women from China went to South Korea and got a bunch of plastic surgery, and then they were trying to go home back to China, but they can't because they don't look like their passport
yeah, that
photos, and they're
happened.
stuck in Korea right now.
Oh my
That's
God.
not the one that I heard of,
Yeah.
though. There's another one where a woman had a bunch of plastic surgery, married her husband,
And got
sued
sued
her.
and got
Yeah.
sued,
Favorite.
and he won.
because they had an ugly baby.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair enough.
Yeah. It's understandable.
False advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too
Bait and
much.
switch. Hey, what are you drinking over there, Stephen?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the show with,
Mm-hmm.
with that loud sip, but I'm drinking Fireball whiskey, the greatest whiskey in the history of the world.
I agree.
I love Fireball whiskey. I mean, I can share some with you guys if you guys want some.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
I
love some.
always bring Fireball whiskey because it's an instant party. It's where the party gets started, and it's sometimes where the party ends because you drink it until you're just
Flying high.
and hanging tough.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a boy band.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, you take a shot.
Okay.
There you go. Whoa! Hey.
Oh, that's good stuff.
That's so good, right? Hey, Glazer, you take
Yeah.
a shot. Take one. Take a shot.
Oh, it helped my sunburn.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Holy cow, I feel great.
God,
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what. There's nothing better for a good afternoon than a shot of Fireball whiskey. The greatest thing to come out of Canada since me. All right, let's get back to the show. So before you got into this business, Daniel, how did you survive? Did you get, because we were talking about getting fired from jobs
Oh,
before
God.
you got here?
Yeah, all the time.
Did you have any bad jobs before you?
I guess I work. Well, when I got my first movie, I was working at Whole Foods.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was a cashier at Whole Foods, and that was actually a good job. But I kind of screwed them over because I got a movie, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm not coming back." I know. They were like, "Way to go, man! Way to go for the team!" I was like,
Yeah,
"Sorry."
yeah.
It was actually a great place to work. But after I did,
What movie did you get that was good enough to get you
Larry
out of Whole
Clark's
Foods?
Bully.
Oh yeah.
That was my
a-
first movie. That was a pretty good.
That was
first
a big movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then the producer hired me for another movie in Alabama. So I was like on my way to moving to New York, and I worked in Alabama on this movie. And then I got to New York. And in New York, I didn't have any money then. So I worked as a mover during the weekdays for Morgan Stanley. It was a corporate moving thing. My uncle got me a gig. And so that was like, 5 o'clock in the morning rush hour getting to Rockefeller Center or the Trade Center or wherever we were at the time. And then at night on the weekends, I worked in like nightclubs, like either as a bouncer or as like mailing list or coat check or anything in the nightclub. So it was actually really bad for my sleeping patterns.
Oh my god.
But,
Did you ever work at a gay club?
all of the clubs I worked at were gay clubs.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing is that was what was interesting about me being closeted is that when I got Mean Girls, then I was like, that's it. After Mean Girls, I never really went to a gay club again. I mean, I did, but I really didn't.
Do you go now? Have you been now?
No,
In the last couple years?
well, not really. I mean, it's like I mean,
You mentioned you have a fiance now, so now there's
yeah. I mean, if I do, it would be like a bar. It's like I'm
can't
not like
go out
I
if
can't
you're
go to
with
like a
someone.
club. It's like too much attention.
Well, I could have hooked you up. I mean, I was the bouncer at the front door of Rage
Oh.
in Santa Monica for
Couple of years.
4 years, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
And I was I got fired because, well, I kind of got fired and kind of quit, but it was mostly because a guy, this little gay Asian guy on Gay Asian Night, I went over to him and I said, "Hey, you're underage," and I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, "You got to give me your drink." And he went, "I don't have to do shit." And I went, "Give me your drink," and a hand the size of a fucking baseball mitt came onto my shoulder, and I turned around and it was this huge big black guy, and he went, "Stop talking to my boyfriend," and punched me in the top of the head, and I went down to the ground like a
Wow.
sack of potatoes. And I was like, they were like, "Yeah, no, you can't work here anymore. Like you're gonna
What?
You're gonna get hurt.
Oh.
Something like you know,
Watch out for those big gays.
like this
Can't handle
this guy laid me the fuck out too. Like he was a big fellow.
The craziest thing is, okay, so I worked at this place. It doesn't exist anymore. It was called the View Bar in Chelsea, and I was like a bar back. I was desperate for a gig. I got that job. And
Barbara Walters hire you?
And when I got the job, this is like the plight of the actor, right? So when I got the job, I was like, listen, I think I got the job in, I don't know, like November, and my movie Party Monster got accepted to Sundance, right? So I was like, I can do this, but when Sundance comes along, I need a week off.
Yeah.
Like, so I got the job, and they were like, you can have the week off for Sundance. But I came back from Sundance, and my job was gone. They were like, sorry, man, I got a business to run. I'm like, but we had an agreement. They just didn't care. They use it as a great excuse to fire me.
You can take a week off, and then a bunch more weeks after that, you can also have off.
Forever.
And take some more weeks.
I know. Well, it was kind of like that. And so I was like devastated because I had rent and shit and, it's like all this kind of stuff to do. So I just went through like the gay magazine HX in New York and went through the back, and I called every single gay club, and I was like, are you hiring? Are you hiring? Are you hiring? And I called this club in the Bronx. And the guy was like, hold on a second. He was like, you're how tall? And I'm like 6'4". He's like, and you're like 300 pounds and you're white? You're hired. He's like, come on. And I was like, turns out he had a thing for guys. My
Oh my God.
Sure, it was the right section that you were looking at. You said you were in the back of the gay magazine.
It was a club. It was a club.
Sure.
And so I literally, I don't even think besides my experience, my 2 weeks or 3 weeks that I worked at this club, that I ever really went to the Bronx ever again or before, right? But I went all the way to the Bronx, and it was like scary and dark and nighttime, you know what I mean? And the club was there, and my job was to do frisking. So I did frisking in like the front of this like club, and it was a gay club, but it was not a welcomed gay club. Like people would throw a bottle. I mean, I was there only like 3 or 4 weeks, and people would like throw bottles at like the building and drive by, and there was a lot of, we had a search for weapons. We were pulling out like crazy shit that people would have on them.
Wow.
I know, it was insane.
So it was a rough gay club.
It was definitely a rough gay club.
Wow.
And I was like the only white guy there, and checking everybody's like pockets and all this other kind of stuff. And I was still sort of closeted. Like I was flirting with like the girls that would walk in. I mean, I don't even know what the hell I thought I was doing.
Oh my God.
But I worked at this place, and it was like insane. And there was this whole, I mean, I don't even know if we should get into the whole thing, but there was this whole drama sequence where there was this trans girl at the club, and one of the guys who worked at the club was like kind of seeing this trans girl, but it was like his like side chick, and his pregnant like wife showed up, and and he was like, baby, I don't have any more room on my guest list. And we were all like, what? Like his baby mom is outside, and he's like, I don't have any room on my guest list, and he already let the trans girl in. And so one of the other guys that worked with me, one of the other security guys, was like, you could go on my guest list. Like he wanted to see the drama unfold.
Yeah.
So he put her on the guest list
shit.
to let her inside the club, and then the pregnant lady and the trans girl were like fighting in the street, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Was this an episode of Cheaters?
No, but it felt like Jerry Springer at the time. It was like
okay.
crazy. I was
God.
like, I can't work here anymore. This is like not worth the whatever $80 a night.
Now you mentioned you would flirt with the girls that came in. Have you ever dated women? Like
I
is that
went on a
thing?
date with one girl that from there. That was my last date with a girl. She was like hitting on me every week, and I was like, okay, why not? And then like we went out, and then I forget where we went on a date, but we had a really great date, and I'm super romantic, pouring it on, you know what I mean? Like, because I don't have the sexual part of it, so we had the romance.
Like I'll do all the stuff up until we get to the bed, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna check out now.
I'm just like, I'm Christian. I don't know. I was like, so we're like making out in Union Square, and it got like a little handsy, and I was just like, oh, and then I called the police. They arrived in the middle of the podcast. No, I was getting a little handsy, and I just was, we were getting handsy, and I was just like, okay, why am I doing this? I'm like, nobody's watching me. Nobody even knows I'm on this date.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for me to be here. I do not like vagina. And that was like my last date with a girl.
Is that what you said to her when you left?
No, I said it to my psyche. I was like, psych.
Well,
you know that girl's been in therapy for 12 years over that, though.
No, but then, then as a true gentleman, I drove the train all the way back with her to the Bronx to like walk her home, which I guess only seemed like I liked her more.
Yeah.
I mean, I really was
That's probably worse.
confusing the shit out of chicks.
Well, I mean,
girl.
we had Joey Fatone on the show, and Joey talked a lot about Lance and Lance's relationship with Daniel Fishel and how confusing that whole situation was, because they had like a real long-term relationship, but they just, no one in that band had any idea that Lance was gay, and they all
Until Joey walked in on him.
Until Joey walked in on
Yeah.
Lance with a guy.
I didn't know this story.
Yeah.
This
And
is
then
good.
Lance told him, do not under any circumstances tell anyone else in the band. And so Joey didn't tell anyone.
For like a year.
for
like a
him.
year.
He knew.
Yeah, and the only reason that anyone found out was because Lance decided to come out in the magazine on the cover of that magazine, and then they all found out at the same time, and it was
not to be over dramatic about it, but the only thing that I've seen in cinema that reminds me of it is like Jews in Holocaust Germany. It's terrifying to be a queer person and have to like hide your identity and pretend who you are, but know that it's at the root of something that's really important to you, and like how that feels. So good for Joey for not ratting him out, because it's the same thing to me. Like it felt so scary all the time, you know. And I don't know what I was scared of. With repercussions I was scared of, I guess never working or whatever, you know. But I mean, I've never worked more since I came out. Like,
has there been a change in roles that you've been going out for and stuff like that?
I had a lot of problems with that. That was a big part, because Hollywood really does have a stake in this, and it's like in the problem, because when I did Mean Girls, I wasn't out. I didn't tell anybody that I was out, you know, and I had played all straight roles up until then. And then I had a friend of mine who I moved out to. I don't even care. I'll just say it. But like the movie Sherry Baby, right?
Okay.
So I never said what movie it was, but it's Sherry Baby. Is with Maggie Gyllenhaal and my friend Bridget Barkin.
Okay.
And I moved out. I knew Bridget Barkin forever. We had done 3 movies and a play together. And now 2 plays together. I mean, we're friends. We're collaborators, right? And we moved out to LA together. We actually moved in a house right here behind where we're recording. It's a true
wow,
story.
amazing.
So right after Mean Girls, I moved to LA, like immediately, like New Year's Eve 2005. And so she was up for this movie, and she got the part. And then they were looking for the husband, and it said a doughy, blue-collar lug of a guy. And I was like, hello! You know, like, that's like my steez, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, this is so amazing, because her and I are like the kind of friends we'd like make out, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't even like, our intimacy level was already there. She'd be like sleeping on my lap watching like American Idol. Like, we were like friends.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, this is perfect. And the casting director wouldn't let me audition. And she was a lesbian, and she wouldn't let me audition. She told my manager, we like Daniel, we think he's really great, but this is a man's man role.
Whoa.
And so that was like right out of the gate of me. And
when was this?
2005, I guess, 2004.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Right after Mean Girls, though.
And
like,
you
right
said,
in the thick of it. And I was like, but let me audition. I was like, just let me audition. And they were like, no. They're like, you're wasting everyone's time.
Is that what led you to then go into the closet at that
Yeah,
point?
big time. I was just like, I can't do that. Like, you know, my managers and my agents were
Fucking
like,
A.
yo, like, my publicist, everyone was like, you just don't have to say it. Like, you could do whatever you want, but just don't say it. It's different. The Midwest cares, you know? And I know so many dudes right now that are still going through that in Hollywood. That don't say anything. But don't saying anything, you know, is not the same as, like, saying that you are, you know?
Yeah, the landscape has changed a lot. Like, I was talking to someone yesterday we're both friends with a comedian that is trans, and I remember meeting this person like 7 years ago with another comic who was more famous, and the other comic being like, how's this dude just gonna wear a dress? Like, it's like he's just at a party wearing a dress, like, and no one's saying anything. Like, it was like, and it was totally acceptable, like a totally acceptable conversation at that time.
Right.
I mean, at least that's how it seemed at the party, that like it was like a funny thing to say, and in reality it's like, that is
damaging.
Very damaging. and like today would never fly. But like 7-8 years ago, there was no, like, in Hollywood, the landscape has changed a lot. Like, in the way that people talk about, you know, people that are trans or people that are gay. I mean, not to compare, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but it's part of it. It's in the rainbow.
Yeah.
I'm all about the rainbow. Some people aren't. Some people are like, I'm gay and lesbian, and then what do you mean trans, or what do you mean Q, or what do you mean I? Or I'm like, everybody. Like, this is other. We're other. You know, we are the minority. Like, that's what it is now. You know, and I mean, there are privileges that come with that now, but there's also still a lot of stigma. I mean, I really do deal with that all the time. I think I deal with it in comedy and stand-up. I'm still dealing with it, you know? They're like, oh, you could play this club, but play gay night. You know, and it's like, oh, I feel like, what is it? It's like Black Night, or it's like, you know, Jew Night, or any other kind of thing. Any other category that you want to put me in.
Right.
It's like that, you know, and I'm just like, okay, it's like so genre specific. And I get that. But
I'm pretty sure every night is Jewish night. I'm not. I'm just saying.
I was going. I was.
Mobile
You're right.
Mondays.
I swear.
I'm not positive.
I
but
was
I'm
just
pretty
like
sure.
Chocolate Sundays. Is
If
still
I
the
found a
night.
Hollywood like genie, I'd be like, please make me straight Jewish and Canadian. Like, barbecues at Seth Rogen's.
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh my dear God in heaven. All right, so Lauren, what about? I know we jumped off this, but worst job, Lauren.
Worst job that I was bad at it? Or
Yeah,
worst
that
job
you
in
were
general?
job that you were fired from.
I mean, I've been fired from so many jobs, it's hard to pick one. But I would say my most memorable one, I used to work for this agency, and they would call me up and say, can you do this or can you do that? And you feel like you're disappointing them when you say no. So despite the fact I'd actually been kicked off the ice rink because I was screaming one time, when they called me and said, can you rollerblade? I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. That's fine. And I was thinking, I've never put a pair of rollerblades on, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And the client was like, yeah, you're just going to be in the foyer of this movie theater. And I thought, it's carpet, it'll be fine. So showed up to work, put on the rollerblades. I was like, I don't know how these work at all. But the other girl was good. So I was like, can I just hold on to you? So I just held on to her and like, held on her for a little bit. And then I will never forget what she said. She said, can you please whiz around the shopping center? And the shopping center was like marble sort of floor, like shiny, slippy sort of floor. So I just sort of was like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, totally fine, I'll do that, okay. So I hold on to this girl and I'm going around, and then the client comes and finds me in the shopping center and says that the security guard's been watching me and laughing on the security footage, and she says that she doesn't think I can skate. And I'm like, well, of course I can. I would never have accepted this job unless I was super professional. So she's like, okay then, I want you to skate down there by yourself without holding on to anyone, and just stop and come back again. So I was like, okay, sure, yeah, I can do that. So off I go. Yeah, I couldn't stop. I grabbed onto a random stranger. I nearly fell. Didn't quite fall, but yeah, I nearly fell. And she sent me home. And she had
In the middle of the day?
Yeah, she sent me home in the middle of the day, and obviously they have to call the agency, explain what happened, and they have to write a whole form. And she wrote on the form, she didn't even fill out the whole thing. She said, she said I was a danger to the public. So
Nothing to do with skating.
Yeah, so I thought I would add that to my resume, starts a little thing. So they're like, oh, quote from a client, Westfield Shopping Center, she's a danger to the public. It's pretty cool, but...
So, Matt, you've never been fired from anywhere, ever?
Never been fired.
You've never been What was your first job?
I was a drum instructor for the Saturday Conservatory of Music at Cal State Los Angeles.
You're such a fucking show-off.
You just make stuff up.
Wow.
You're just making things up.
I don't believe you.
That's a real thing. I was an orchestra coach.
That wasn't your first job.
Yeah,
No way.
I was 18, and I was in like the top level orchestra, and they hired me to coach the percussionists in the lower level orchestra.
Are your parents not divorced?
It's not that
They
interesting.
weren't.
No.
They weren't divorced. No.
But you didn't work till you were 18?
I know.
That's not
when
fair.
you're divorced, you get out there and then you get fired from a lot of jobs.
I think that's right.
That's
There's still
my
time.
excuse
Yeah.
that I gave.
That's what you keep saying.
Yeah. No,
I think when my parents were divorced, I just needed to go get money. So I had to have a job.
Yeah.
I'm like, 18, you lazy bastard. I was 12. I was packing grocery bags at A&S Meats.
When
But-
did your parents get divorced?
Oh my God, my freshman year of college, they were separated. And
What?
Then, yeah, my mom. It was horrible.
How long were they separated before they got divorced?
They got separated my senior year of high school. And then it was so horrible. Basically I would call my mom and I'd be like, hi, and she would be like, your father did this and did that and did this, and I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to hear this. It's like a lot.
Yeah.
So then I'd call her another day and she'd be like, hello. And I'd be like, what's the matter? And she was like, nothing. You don't want to hear it. That kind of manipulative.
And where'd you grow up?
We're from Brooklyn, but I grew up in Florida.
Okay.
But then one day it was just like, I'm not having a good day today. And I'm like, okay, we got divorced today. And I was like, oh, it was like that.
Holy
It wasn't even like,
crap.
hey, we're getting divorced on the 13th or
And I was
whatever.
like,
It's
does
just like,
anyone
surprise.
care about how I feel about that? It was all like,
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Did you
crazy.
stay in touch with both?
yeah, I
You-
still talk to them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I talk to my mom every day, and I ignore my dad's calls once a month.
That's fine. That's more than fine. That's a healthy way
that's
of doing it.
more than you, actually.
That's a lot more than me. I talk to my mom three times a day.
Yeah.
She called me this morning, but to wake me up at 9:00 in the morning, and was like, do you know? Is your friend Saba gonna come to your show? I'm like, why are you asking me this at 9 in the morning? I was just wondering. She does that. She called a couple days ago and said, you know what I think would be a fun present for you to do for your children someday is freeze your semen and then give it to them so that they can use it. I'm like,
For what?
For what? Like to play catch with?
Arts
what are
and
you
crafts?
fucking talking about? She was like, no, so that they can make more of you, and you can have you. And I go, Mom, that's not how
Where did she get
genetics
this
works.
idea
I was like,
from?
what are you talking about? Or she called me last week and said, I'm going to Las Vegas. And I was like, oh, that's great, Mom. And she goes, I think I paid too much for the flight. I go, how much was it? She goes, $1,000. I go, Mom, that's a lot of money. Where's your stopover? China? Like, what are you doing? And she was like, I don't know. I think I made a mistake. How do you cancel this? Spirit Airlines. I go, Spirit of all fucking airlines.
What would $1,000 Spirit
does
ticket look
connect
like?
through China.
What are you flying the plane? Like, do they give you one when you're finished? Like, it was so ridiculous. But that's how she is. And Matt knows. He's spent a lot.
The greatest
of
thing
time
she ever said to you
What's that?
was, you know what they say about black men.
Oh God.
What did they say?
She went on a date with a black guy, a couple dates, and then she said to me, "I went on a date last night with a black guy." And I go, "Oh, Mom, that's great." And she goes, "You know what they say about black guys?" I go, "Mom,
Whoa.
no."
Too much
She goes,
information.
"Oh, Stephen, get your head out of the gutter." His penis was enormous. I was like, son of a bitch, Mom!
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. But it's like then I'm stuck with that in my brain forever. Like I have to live, and then I know my mom, is fucking black guys.
Wow.
It ruined interracial porn for me. It ruined it. All right,
Actually, my
couldn't listen to
my
that from my
mom dated a black guy for like 6 years and didn't tell my family. But not us. We knew, but like my extended family, because she was afraid that they would all like react a certain way. And then when I told her about being gay, she was like, "Well, how could you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, would you rather me be like you and hide my lover from the rest of the world?"
wow.
And my mom was like, "Brr!" She was like gagged. She was like, "You know what?" She was like, "I understand." It was
Wow.
like it literally clicked. Like she was like, "I don't get gay," and then she was like, "I get gay." Like it was like
Wow.
one quick second, and she ended up marrying him. He passed away, but sadly, but she had a really great marriage and relationship with him.
Well, that's great.
That's
though.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, what was without being too?
Oprah?
This is very Oprah. What I'm about to ask you. What was the reason? How did you end up deciding to come out? Like, what changed?
It was. I was feeling it more and more. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I was entering the I don't give a fuck stages of my life, and not only that, but then the 10th anniversary of Mean Girls came around, and I got a letter from a fan that was like, "I don't know if you're gay or not, and it doesn't really matter, but you changed my life," because I was like a chubby sissy kid in like 8th grade, and then the movie came out, and then when I went into 9th grade, the popular senior girls were like, "You're like Damien, come sit with us," and it was the first time I had an identity. Your character gave me an identity, and I was like so moved by this letter. I mean, I had received letters like it, but the fact that one had started and said, "It doesn't matter," and I'm like, it does matter. And we were dealing with like Prop 8 and all this and marriage equality and all this other stuff, and I just felt so silent, even though like I was on the front lines, like literally the front of the Prop 8 march and like all this other stuff. That's when I started really not caring, when I had to have more of a voice in order to stick up for rights, But this was like the last straw, and so I wanted to do it in a way that would help a lot of people, so I wrote a letter to my character Damien about that experience.
Wow, really?
In IndieWire, and it went crazy viral. Like it was printed in the Times of India, which I bring up only because I'm so proud that like India would even print something like that.
Yeah, that's
like,
incredible, because their laws and rules
are ridiculous.
About the gay community are like all over the place in India. So
right.
Did you
that's
connect to the guy
amazing.
that sent the letter to you?
I didn't. I didn't. I think I always respond
I think
to those kind of things. I think at the time him. I don't know if he knows that particular letter had a lot of impact on me. And letters nowadays are like, DMs. So it's like hard to keep track of all of that stuff. It's not like I have like a stack of letters with a ribbon. It's like,
sure.
But you can write it back and be like, I don't know if your story is true or not, but it changed my life.
Yeah, but I received stuff like that, like almost daily. It's actually overwhelming how much people have responded to my work and like the things that I do in relation to how they feel about themselves. I mean, that's something I never expected. I mean, I always just wanted to like tell stories and be funny. I didn't really expect to like reach people in that way. So I take, with great power comes great responsibility. So I take, my role as like reluctant but like LGBTQ like thought leader and like someone who talks about body positivity and somebody who talks about being queer and all this other stuff, and I take it really seriously because it's an important thing.
That's amazing. That's incredible, man. And I saw, did you guys just put together something like the whole, like not the whole cast, but a lot of the cast got back together to just do something just recently?
Yeah, Jonathan Bennett, who played Aaron Samuels, and Lacey Chabert, who was Gretchen Wieners, and myself. Jonathan was super affected by what happened in Vegas, the horrible shooting. And he's been to that concert before. He had friends there, and so he just was really like, he called us the evening before our internet holiday, which October 3rd is National Mean Girls Day, because in the movie when she first meets her crush, she asks him what day it was, and he says October 3rd. So they made like a meme out of it. So every October 3rd there's like Mean Girls everything. So we knew that was coming because for the past 13 years we get like inundated with like tons of like it's like another birthday or something. So we decided to turn it around and make something good out of it. So Jonathan Bennett and Lacey and I created a GoFundMe page, and I think we're at like $75,000 that we've raised for the victims of Las
That's
Vegas.
amazing.
Yeah, so
That's
it's like really
so
cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. And later on, Lindsay, Tina Fey, and Lizzie Kaplan and Rajiv, all who are also in the movie, made like thank you videos for the donation. But I think this is something we're going to do every year. We'll do like Mean Girls Turn Nice on Mean Girls Day every year, and we'll start like a foundation or a GoFundMe every year and raise money for a different cause, because there's a lot of attention that we don't get any money for.
Yeah.
I mean, my face is on a t-shirt at Urban Outfitter right now, and I don't see money for that shit. So it's
you
like
don't get any merchandising?
Nothing. None of it.
Get out of here.
No, I'm on cell phones. I'm on mugs. I'm on keychains. I don't see anything for any of that. So we figure, and it happens to all of us. So, the movie's made like $298 million.
Who makes the money for your picture on a keychain?
Paramount. Maybe Tina Fey.
Bastards.
Maybe even Lindsay Lohan. I don't know. I don't know what their deals were. But
somebody that's not you.
Somebody that's not me gets the money. I mean, the movie's made $298 million, and like we never even like took home $1 million of it. So it's like, maybe we need to have like a, some kind of a big fat Greek wedding, like get together and like.
Do you feel typecast by it at all? Like, do you still?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to audition for stuff when there's a T-shirt Urban Outfitter with my face on it for a different role.
We went to Walter Koenig's house, who's Chekhov on Star Trek, the original Chekhov.
Yeah.
And he talked about how they had problems after the show when the movie started. It was he, Nichelle Nichols, who was Uhura, James Doohan, who played Scotty, like the more minor characters, George Takei, who's Sulu, of course. Those four had problems auditioning for things because they were just seen as their characters.
Yeah.
And they had all this merchandising with them, and they didn't get a dime from it. So they said they contacted, like he was on a plane. He said like a lawyer heard them talking about it who was sitting right in front of him. He's like, oh, I'm an intellectual property lawyer. Let me help you guys out. And he like wrote a letter to Paramount, and Paramount they sent this thing, and Paramount was like, no, you guys can all screw off. We're not doing anything, right?
Well, Paramount's also our studio. So.
But then he said, like a week later, they see this big thing all in the trades, and Paramount was like, hey, we're going to give a one-time gift to these actors because they're having problems with other stuff. We want them to share in this. They didn't want it to come as like a pressure thing. They wanted to be like, oh, we're going to do it as benevolent to make it.
If Paramount wants to be really good to me, it'll be a welcome change.
So maybe Paramount could go to Mean Girls and be like, hey, here's a chunk of change for your keychains.
Yeah.
No chance of Mean Girls 2 then.
Yeah. Well, I would love that. So would my accountant.
What's
I could picture like Mean Girls like sitting around at like a country club or
Mean
something.
Girls Christmas.
Well, listen. Before we wrap up, because we do have to wrap up shortly, there are we have a couple presents for you.
What?
Because we
love
adore
presents.
you.
Oh my God! Really? Real?
This is the Nighttime Show backpack.
Oh yay!
Here you go. It's
Beautiful.
It's me as Galactus.
Oh my god, it's heavy. There's stuff inside.
Well, there's a gift inside for you too, because there's nothing.
so nice. I love.
Well, if you're not going to clubs, sometimes you have to drink and party at home with all of your friends, and
indeed.
so we got you a bottle of Fireball whiskey,
Yes!
the greatest
Oh my
Canadian
God.
whiskey
I
in the
love
world.
this whiskey.
Oh, really?
This
Okay,
is so
good.
sweet of you.
Anytime. Thank you so much. Thanks
Wow,
for doing this.
Now I feel like I'm bad. I don't give people on my podcast gifts.
No, you don't
If you
have
come to my
Your
podcast, which I would love to
merchandise.
have you, please don't expect anything.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's take a quick walk through the cast of Mean Girls, which I know that
Let me just say,
have to ask
please
you, but
listen to my podcast, Butch and the Bear.
absolutely.
There you go, Butch and the Bear.
Butcher and the Bear.
No, Butch. Like it's a
Butch and the Bear.
It's a Butch lesbian and me, the Bear.
Oh my God, that's so much fun. Who do
A.B.
you-
Cassidy.
Oh,
A.B.
great.
Yeah, A.B. Cassidy, who's an awesome comic. She's hilarious. And
Yeah.
me and her. And
It's like Smokey and the Bear, only completely different.
yeah, only
Or
a Butch,
that was,
a Butch lesbian that gets smoky.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, let's go through this a little bit.
Sure.
What was the audition like for Mean Girls?
Weird. There's this casting director, Susan Shotmaker, who's always been very great to me in New York. She cast me in Party Monster, even though there wasn't a role for me in it. She found one, and then she gave me a commercial one time when I was really low, and she called me in for Mean Girls, and they had been looking all over for the character. I was a little old. I was 26 to play 16. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I was a little old for the part, so they were skeptical. But Tina Fey came into the waiting room, and Amanda Seyfried was there, and she was auditioning. Doing her screen test, and she had two shirts with her, and one of them was maroon and the other one was tan, and she was like, which one would look better on the background in the room, and I was like, I'd go with the Merlot, and they all turned around and looked at me. And I was just like, and I just was sort of in character and being funny, and then when I came into audition, they were like, we thought you worked here, this is great, now I'm excited, and I guess I did a bad audition, which I don't remember, but on the E! True Hollywood Story, they said that I was bad.
Oh my God.
But they liked me.
Yeah.
I'm not a great auditioner. I'll admit that straight up. I'm just not. I mean, I'm better at if I get the role, I'll slay it.
Right.
But I'm not good at please hire me. I don't like to beg.
I get that.
Which is why I don't do commercial auditions, because I feel like it's just full out begging.
Cattle call.
Yeah. So anyway, that happened, and then I didn't hear from them for a month, and then they called me on a Sunday, and they're like, Monday we're flying you to LA. You're going to have dinner with the cast, and then you're going to have the table read at Paramount, and you don't have the part yet. Some people think you're too old, so do really well. And so they flew me out. I was stayed at the Sheraton Universal. They picked me up the next morning in a limo with Rachel McAdams and Amanda Seyfried and drove us through the Paramount gates. And then I arrive at the table read, and it's not even just the people in the movie, but I think Kevin Nealon was reading a role. People who I was dying that there was some people there reading roles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He read Coach Carr or something, or I don't even remember. But I was like, holy shit. Also, I flew on the plane next to Chevy Chase, which was insane.
Wow.
Oh my dear God.
Because I was I'm going to have dinner with Lauren Michaels, and I'm sitting on a plane with Chevy Chase. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Now,
Right?
were there other people that were out for the role that made it to almost the same
Yeah,
place?
actually.
Who did you beat?
So my friend Joel Michael. I don't even know if I.
Oh yeah,
Say,
Joel. We know Joel.
He was up for the role, but they also thought he was too young, and he wore makeup to his audition and melted it off in the middle of the audition.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think he was the one who I kind of beat out maybe at that time.
I saw Joel in But I'm a Cheerleader with my sister, which is how my sister tried to tell me that she was gay.
Oh,
Or that
that's a
she
great
is
movie for
or
that, yeah.
Yeah, and she has a girlfriend, and she's very happy.
Sweet.
Yeah, but
Gay means
that is
happy.
that movie that was a fucking
That's a great movie.
though. But I'm
Yeah.
a Cheerleader,
When RuPaul
so-
first time out of drag, everyone was like, "Who's this?"
yeah,
Yeah, who is
Yeah.
that guy?
Well
now he's
done.
Very handsome
workroom
man.
Ru. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. First impression of Lohan on that set. That was because she'd already been kind of famous at that point. Right?
Yeah,
She'd
I
done
didn't
the
know
Parent
her.
Trap.
My
she'd
first.
done stuff.
I
yeah.
mean, we get along now. Let me just preface by saying that.
Sure.
As adults, we get along great. But I just, I was 26 and I wasn't having the 16-year-old, 15-year-old drama. I was not
Yeah.
feeling it. And
How
it
old was she
like
then?
15 or 16,
15, okay.
and it was
Oh,
literally high level, teen dream drama. I
Yeah.
just wasn't into it. So I was my first impression wasn't amazing, but
Yeah,
we got along fine.
I get that. I
Yeah.
get that.
It was a lot of oh my god, and then this person said that, and that high school high
Yeah.
Mean Girl high level and I was like okay.
Was there anybody on that set that you felt a kinship with, kind of right
Lizzie
away?
Kaplan became
Hell
like
yeah.
family, like instantly. Like we really, really got along on that set. And grew really close after, we don't see as much of each other these days, but there's no love lost. I mean, I emailed with her this morning.
Oh, that's so cool.
I love her. But her and I were really close. I mean, we sat and like, worked on all of our stuff together constantly and like really took it seriously and partied all night and then like got out the next day and did it all again. It was like a great relationship. And then Jonathan Bennett, we were like a threesome, like the three of us. We hung out all the time.
Do you see him? Do you ever see him at all?
I see him more nowadays. Yeah, definitely. And I feel really close to him, especially after we raised that money. I mean, that's a really special thing to do with somebody, and it was his idea, and he's just a good guy in that way. And we also do a lot of Mean Girls type events. We did in Austin at Alamo Draft House. They had a thing called Fantasy. I forget what it was called actually, but it was like a film festival for like Forever Fest, a film festival for like girls to be girls and just like be girls about it. Like,
Totally.
So like, stuff like that. And we always end up at places there. And recently. This past year, I did Toronto Pride, and they brought me out there, and I talked to Lindsay on Skype in front of the audience, and they brought out like all these cast members, like some of the unfriendly black hotties, and like Jessica Lopez that was in the wheelchair, the girl in the wheelchair, and and they brought out the Chihuahua, who I cannot believe is still alive, but is and very old, and they brought out all these like random characters because we filmed in Toronto, so a lot of those. People are Torontonians, so it was nice to see all of them.
Is that the phrase, Torontonians?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
You're the Canadian, you tell me.
I am a Canadian.
It is. I lived in Toronto for a year last year, filming Conviction, so it was a nice little... I actually went and did Pride and was like, it would be so nice to just like move out here and do a series, and like 2 months go by and it happened. So
holy shit.
I secreted that shit.
What's
should have been more specific and say one that doesn't get canceled.
Before we wrap up, what is something that you haven't done that you very much want to do?
Broadway.
Really?
More than anything.
Why don't you can do
why don't you just go over to Broadway?
Just go to Broadway.
Just go to Broadway.
To every relative I have, just go to Broadway. What are you, crazy?
You say when you were a kid?
My grandfather.
I have a question. Yeah, that's my Nana. She'll call me and be like, Danny, I have a question for you. And I'll be like, yeah. She's like, I saw an Entenmann's commercial and you weren't in it. You could get that. Why didn't you do it? Like, a lot of reasons.
My grandfather used to call me and go, why they're doing Fiddler on the Roof. Why aren't you call the fiddler people, tell them you want to be in the show? What are they going to say no to you? Look at you. And I would go, there is no Fiddler on the Roof people. There's no people. And you know what? Here's the craziest part. I tried to call
Fiddler on the Roof people.
I tried to call the people from Once, from that musical, because I was like, I love that show, and I was like, I want to do that show. Yeah. So I called the casting director.
When was this?
This was during Big Time Rush, during like the height of the show, and I was feeling myself, right?
Feeling myself.
Yeah. So I call up and I'm like, just to let you know, I'm available, and I would love to be in your show. And he was like, oh, you'd like to be in our show that just won 3 Tony Awards?
That's interesting.
I think we're fine
We're
without
good.
you.
We're good.
And he goes, like people have to like audition, right? And I was like, oh yeah, no, I mean, I just felt like such a fucking idiot.
Whatever, you try, man. You
I
never
tried.
know the reaction.
You never know.
I'm attached to a musical, but it's like on its journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really want to be. I want to.
What's the musical that you want to do?
More than anything.
Yes.
Revival,
Revival of a musical.
Funny thing happened on the way to the Forum Pseudolus.
Perfect.
Like my dream role.
We'll do it.
I want to.
Let's make it happen. We got to wrap up, but Daniel, what are your social media?
We'll go raise some money.
Yeah. We got some comedy tonight, so we gotta keep going. Get it? Comedy tonight. Comedy tonight. All right. Where can people? Where can you?
Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Snapchat, everything. I am at What's Up Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Even Venmo.
Ooh, nice.
Get at me.
Hey Paramount,
MySpace?
what's up, Danny? On Venmo.
Lauren, what about you? Where can people find you and follow you in the world?
Anywhere in the world, I will be. Basically,
yeah.
you could
what's
find
your
me
Twitter and Instagram if you have a Twitter?
It's all Lauren Rose style from my days of doing styling.
Oh,
basically.
okay.
So
all
yeah,
right.
it's a little bit all over the place.
You got a lot of pictures of you at Burning Man, which are terrific.
Yeah.
They're great pictures.
I love Burning
Man.
Man.
I've never been. I really want to go.
Well, we should all go.
Yes,
I'll pass.
Oh,
There's
I
not
knew
enough sunscreen in the
Crybaby
world
would
for me to go to
pass.
Burning
Yeah,
Man.
Of
he
course
is
you
such a
would.
crybaby.
Of course
I
you
would burst into flames in 3 minutes. I would be the Burning Man.
Matt, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me, find everything you need to know at funnymatt.com, or if you want to debate with me over anything, you can let me know at mattwalkersucks.com.
Which people do.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
just
they do.
at Crybaby.
They can just talk about how big a crybaby
Lauren
you
can leave me
are.
messages at mattwalkersucks.com.
Absolutely. You can always get me at Stephen Glickman, STPHEN, Glickman on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nighttime Show podcast and leave us comments and
And
share.
they can like your
share,
Facebook
share.
page you just
and
got back
like,
into.
Yeah, like the Facebook page. There's a Stephen Kramer Glickman Facebook page where we're showing videos and things and posting and whatnot and things. Daniel, it is an honor to be able to sit with you and chat with you. You're such a kind and wonderful guy, and what you're doing
I
for
will not disagree with you.
well, what you're doing for the community and what you're doing as a comedian, I think is fucking fantastic. So keep
you.
on kicking ass, you.
Thank you, my friend.
And
Thanks
the
for
dog
listening.
sounds are great.
Thanks for having me.